Welcome back. With the author and strategist Thabang Motsohi, author of the book Fit for Purpose, is with me here. And he's been commenting about these issues for quite a while now. They are actually the backbone of this book that he wrote. Now, there are ideas that you are putting forth in the book that have got to do with leadership, which you already picked up in the 2008-9 thereabouts, that something was not going right in South Africa. Just tell me the basic premise of your approach to Fit for Purpose. What are you arguing for?
Basically, Tim, what I'm talking about there in this book is that organizations don't just self-propel themselves towards achieving the goals for which they were set. That is a fact. You start an organization because you are driven by a certain purpose in mind. You have certain strategic goals and visions that you want to achieve. You can't just put it there, put one or two people that you think that are going to make it work, and then walk away. Organizations need capable people. They need people that are competent with the skills required per organization to drive it incrementally, by the way, towards achieving its goals. That is at the center of what I'm saying. Now, one of the most important factors in the achievement of those goals is leadership. What kind of leader do you put at the top of the organization? It should be a leader that can inspire support, a leader that can inspire a following voluntarily from people, a leader that can make us understand that this person has very high ethical standards. I can trust him. Now, the moment you remove that trust, that's where the problem is. Now, it is leadership that really determines how and where we're going to go. The point that I made right at the beginning about leadership is that when we elected a replacement for Thabo Mbeki way back in 2008, we knew what we were doing. We knew that that was not a suitable person because of certain weaknesses. But we went ahead anyway because we thought that, no, this organization called government is just going to keep on working itself. We now know. It
can function despite.
Yeah. But no. Now we know where we are. We have the Zondo Commission, and it is actually the Zondo Commission is amplifying everything that I've said in the book. That if you don't have the right capability, if you don't have the right skills, if you don't have the right talent, that organization is going to be on the way down to destruction.
Let me talk about the specific parts of government and public life in South Africa, and one that you have worked in intimately and most recently, the South African Airways.
Yes.
We're told national carrier and so on. But, to an average taxpayer, when you say SAA, you get people's blood to boil because they think they've got to pay for something that they never use anyway. I mean, substantial majority of South Africans, with respect, have never flown, let alone fly SAA, and they wonder why money must always be allocated there and not elsewhere in the public transport system. Now, how will that organization ever be turned around, do you think?
Well, look, let me go back to the question of policy and principle first, Tim. You remember I wrote an article in September of 2017, where I was saying basically there is a big question to be settled about SAA, and it's a question of what is the strategic intended purpose? Because if you can answer that question, you're not going to be able to answer a lot of questions. That question was never asked for a very, very long time. Remember, in the apartheid regime, that was an irrelevant question. Because SAA was there to do a specific purpose, sanction busting.
And sometimes I wonder whether it's relevant to ask questions of what apartheid did, because everybody knew what it existed for, and that's why there was so much unhappiness and injustice all around. So it's like 94 was a fresh start.
Yes, because SAA was used for a whole lot of nefarious purposes at the time. And, it also got itself involved in accidents that are still unraveled up to today. Now, but post-94, did we really ask ourselves that question? I raised this question in 1996. It was never answered. I raised it again in 2017. It still has not been answered. Because you see, when you say you have a national airline that will serve a developmental mandate. Can we try to unpack that? Let's understand what is that developmental mandate and how should it execute and deliver it. But if you look at, for instance, the question of markets in South Africa, since the deregulation of the early 90s, you have a situation where a new breed of airlines has entered the market. They're called low-cost carriers. And they operate in very high-density situations, short hauls, but very high traffic. Examples of those are Kulula and, Mango. Now, that's a different market. I want to go to Cape Town now. I don't care about the frills. That's what I need. But then you have what you call the long-haul legacy airlines, like the typical SAA, which will then fly to the rest of the continent and intercontinentally. That was its purpose and design. But it started dabbling into the domestic services prior to the current intervention. That has now been corrected. So the correction is about positioning the SAA properly in its proper market, which is the continental and intercontinental. But you see, to do that, you need to have two things. You have to have the right routes that are going to serve you better and well, and then you have to have the right equipment, which is the aircraft. Of course, it comes with
but the burden in places on the fiscus has led the new Minister of Finance to suggest that maybe it must be sold or find a strategic partner. Let's listen to what Tito Mboweni has to say.
SAA will reduce, ultimately, maybe stop operating some of the loss-making international routes. SAA procurement has unlocked annual cost savings of about 400 million rand. Despite these efforts, SAA is still loss-making, and even more radical measures are then needed in this regard. In the reconfiguration of state-owned enterprises, there must be no holy cows.
There must be no holy cows,
Yes.
right? It can be understood that this, that, and the other, but the fact is bailouts are still being requested. Brief response from you. What do you think will help sort out SAA's problems? I'm asking you for a short soundbite.
Yeah, you'll be surprised, Tim. The strategy that has been rolled out since December by Jahana is beginning to see some green shoots. Amazing. SAA is beginning to achieve, positive gross margins on its operations, something that didn't happen before. Now, that means the strategy is working.
And therefore, we must continue with that.
We have to continue with that.
Let me talk about something else now. The municipalities. You said almost to a mayor in South Africa, the first thing they do is to buy Mercedes-Benzes, fit for purpose. If the mayors went through this book, what would they learn? And use the West Rand municipality as an example for me. And tell me how you feel about the fact that the employees there have not been paid anyway.
Tim,
or not all of them were paid.
Most of the time we're thinking about what the municipality must deliver. But this book is also about the citizens. What should the citizens expect and demand from a municipality? And the first thing they should demand is West Rand municipality must go to the town hall and meet with the people, and the people must ask him a simple question. On the critical functions of giving us clean water, first. Second, cleaning the sewage, processing the sewage, treating the sewage. Are you able to do that now? If the answer is yes, then you're clean to go. But I think almost all of them will say, no, we have a problem here, we have a problem there. The next question is, what will it take to solve that problem, and how long will it be sorted out? Not 6 months. It must be done in less than 6 months. That is the role of the citizen. So the citizen must read the book and say, we want to demand a fit for purpose municipality.
Here's another question, and you mentioned specific provinces.
Yes.
And of course, there's room for improvement everywhere, as you've suggested. Is there any particular reason you think the Free State and Northwest Province in particular seem to be the ones with problems? And I think the Eastern Cape could be added to that.
No, I think Tim, it's just mischievous political leadership. That's all it is. Because as I said, there's the political game at the top, which dictates the paradigm in which the economic game can be played. If you don't have people that have that high level of social consciousness, high level of consciousness for social justice, then you'll have the results like Northwest, like.
But here's a point.
That
You'll hear the same people, political actors, leaders say, you know what? It's people like Motsohi who are making things difficult for us. What we are trying to do here is to fast track radical economic transformation. We were busy with radical economic transformation. Do not disturb us.
Let's take, for example, the case of Telkom. Telkom 10 years ago or something like that was almost in the same situation as SA is. And then they changed. They are now a highly competent organization that is delivering dividends to government. And they are doing a lot of radical economic transformation within itself. We don't even read about it. But they're doing that. They're moving from landline to other services of communication. That's what you mean by radical economic transformation. Make sure that you improve the capability of an organization to innovate and bring services cheaper, better for the people.
Let's take the whole message of Fit for Purpose and take it to individuals and individual leaders. If there is a particular lesson to be learned when you talk about a Fit for Purpose organizational leader, what would you say the qualities are, the attributes are?
Very, very simple in my view. When you are given a task, Tim, you must always ask yourself, do I have it in me to deliver on this task? That's called honesty. That's called integrity. And if you think you can't, and you don't have that capability, say it, I'm sorry, at this level I can't operate. But how many people do that? This is why selection of people is such an important thing. And this is where the question and the controversy of the career deployment comes in, which has been highlighted by Barbara Hogan in the past 2 days. What she actually exposed is what I'm talking about in here. If you miss that objective placement of people according to talent and capability, you're going to get the results that we have now. And consider the following. We do have a handbook for the deployment of executives and board members into SOEs. Why is it not being followed? Can
That's
you
the
tell me
question.
just why is
That's
it?
the question.
There are certain individuals, that were in certain boards, which if you think about it, there is no way they could have objectively gone through the sieve of that.
Fit for Purpose is the title of the book by Thabang Motsohi. Thank you very much. And it's not just an analysis of what's going on within the state, but also lessons to be drawn for any individual or organizations that want to improve themselves. I found it very, very interesting, compelling. And the fact that the ideas have been there for some time, for 10 years, and you've added more meat to them. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for spending time with me.
It's a pleasure, Tim. Thank you very much indeed.
Thabang Motsohi. After the break, we will be focusing on good governance with Deputy Public Protector Advocate Kevin Malunga.